Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to Brave, Bold, and Unfiltered. And the good news is, Sean's back. I know you all like it much better when I'm not solo. My feelings are not hurt, I swear to God. Really? So, we have been talking about, well, not we, I've been talking to myself, Sean. For the last couple of weeks, I've been going over Burn the Map, as you know, and as your name is in many times. And so I just thought it'd be so cool to go through every single chapter and not just, obviously I'm not reading through the book.
Yeah.
This is not some audiobook.
Yeah.
but to really get into some of the concepts in there, but also maybe some stuff that is not in there.
Sure.
That people can relate to.
Yeah.
So we are on to, so first of all, I did the introduction, and then we had already done, I had already done chapter 1, when life burns the map, or you do. Now we're on to chapter 2, which is fear is killing us. So I think that you thought we were coming to record chapter 3.
Yep.
But let's go ahead and do chapter 2 first, if you don't mind.
Sure.
So this is going to be proof that it's just right off the cuff. And I know you read chapter 2, but it was probably a few weeks ago.
Yeah, it's been a while since.
But that's okay. We're just going to talk about it. I got myself messed up. That's what happens when you're the producer.
Yeah.
When I'm my own producer. But so in Fear is Killing Us starts out with a story that you told me that the more you learned about your great aunts, my great aunts, you said you were just so proud to be related to them. And so when I tell this story, people are going to go, really? He's proud of that? She's a smart ass. Better than being a dumbass.
Is this something that Lottie said?
Dorothy.
Oh, it was Dot that said it?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a great quote.
So I think I was 18. We were in Calgary. So my mom's from Canada. And so are my great aunts. My great aunts literally, until they died, lived in the same house that your great grandpa Harold was born in, the family home. And so Dorothy, they were both hilarious. I mean, that's totally where we get our sarcasm and everything. That's that Scottish influence, right? And so I was 18 and we all met in Calgary, and they lived in Winnipeg, Manitoba, but we met in Calgary in Alberta.
Winterpeg, as Grandma calls it.
Oh my, totally. Totally Winterpeg. Yeah, this is true. And people in Canada that know it right now are all laughing. Trust me.
Alberta's a whole other level of cold, but anyway.
Yeah.
No. Manitoba.
Yeah.
Right.
The further east you go. But anyway, so my mom ends up in the hospital at this reunion. And so she's in there being checked out or whatever, and the doctors come out. And I'm 18, and my mom was only 19 when she had me. So my mom's young. Like, she's not even 40.
37.
Yeah.
My age.
Right. She's your age. And that's how long she's had that heart condition. So she's in there getting checked out and everything. And so he wants some family history. Well, because she's pretty young. So he says, has anyone in your family had heart problems? Or no, a heart condition? And she goes, well, hell yes, every single one of them. When they died, their heart stopped. I was just like, totally.
Such a good, because it's
duh.
The best part about that is that he's actually asking for like real medical information so that he can help diagnose her family member. And her thought process was, this is a great opportunity to just rip this ridiculous junk right now, which is so funny. I mean,
but you know what? So this is what I wrote in the book, Sean, about this. Think about it. We all have that same heart condition.
Yeah.
That all her ancestors had.
At the end of the day, every single one of us died when the heart stopped.
We all die of a heart condition.
Yeah.
No matter what's on your death certificate.
Yeah.
We all die of a heart condition. Mm-hmm. So the reason I use that in that story, I just had to put that story in because I've always thought it was hilarious.
It was.
But I mean, how perfect is it in this particular chapter? Because what I talked about was we all have a heart condition while we're alive, and it's called fear.
Yeah.
I personally think that fear is the beast's number one weapon. I think it's the one that we succumb to, give into, and help with. And it's the thing that keeps us back from living our dreams, from going out and doing anything worth doing. It keeps us from having conversations, from relationships. I mean, I don't know. Do you want to add anything? There's like, the list goes on, right?
Yeah. Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, a perfect example, we just talked about this a little bit ago. I played golf with Rich yesterday. These guys hit a golf ball and literally almost blasted Rich at full speed from an elevated tee box with a golf ball. And the problem is most people are so afraid to say anything like, hey, that was wrong. You need to apologize, they'll let it go. They're afraid of it.
Because he didn't yell for.
But instead,
that's the thing for you non-golfers. FORE.
Yeah.
I have no idea even where that came from. But you're supposed to yell for if you lose sight of your ball.
I leaned into it and I wasn't rude. I just basically told them it's unacceptable to almost hit somebody and not yell for. And I had to confront them. Yes, it's nerve-wracking. You don't know how the other person's going to react. But you know what ended up happening? The guy said, "You're right, I'm sorry." And I said, "Thank you." And I was the end of it. But that most situations, people are so afraid of that they'll mutter it to their friends.
Yeah.
If they come anywhere near me, I'm gonna. And then the guy comes up and they don't say anything.
Yeah.
Because they're afraid of the person's reaction. So fear rules even the most minute
that is such
situations
a good
people.
Point, a good analogy. You're right. Fear, it just it is paralyzing, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of came up with that when Jamie was in her addiction. I felt like I lived in paralyzing fear. Like I couldn't make any decisions, and so that kind of fear is obvious.
Mm-hmm.
Or like if somebody would break into your house or something like that, obviously fear is always going to kick in. And by the way, I've said it before, I've said it in the last probably 2 podcasts on this subject and many other times. There's no such thing as being fearless. Everyone feels fear. But it's then, does it overtake you? Does it become who you are and what you do?
Yeah.
So I think
even sociopaths feel fear. These, serial killers and stuff, afraid of getting caught. There's something. Every single
doesn't matter. You might be fearless in an area of your life.
Yeah, but it's impossible to be entirely fearless across the board in all ways.
Right. But the grip of fear, I think, is killing us. I honestly do, because Sean, it's killing dreams. It's killing potential. It's killing books that should be written. It's killing having real relationships, like to your point of being afraid to even have a conversation. Because I think sometimes people are less afraid of the guy breaking into their house than having one honest conversation with someone in their life.
Yeah.
Right?
It's so true. Yeah, it's interesting. This is such a, I know it's a massive comparison, but think about Jesus. When he had to know that he was going to go sacrifice for mankind, he felt extreme fear.
And he was God.
And he didn't want to do it. And he's literally the living flesh of God. And he didn't want to do it, but he faced it and did it anyways.
I mean, that's really the bottom line of it. So, but I know it's contrite sometimes for us to say that when people are facing things that are really super scary. I mentioned in this book and future episode, I'm going to have some clips of April too, which will be great. But, April, all of a sudden, she was 40, I think she was like 47 or something. We'll find out when April's on. But all of a sudden, aggressive breast cancer.
Mm-hmm.
I've got another friend, one of my ladies that you've met too, Diane, that all of a sudden, boom, and that turns your world upside down. And you hear those cancers back. When you hear the word aggressive in front of it,
mm-hmm.
It scares the hell out of you. There's no way you're not scared.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
But it's like, do you allow that to, and that's why I have April in the book too, because there's so many inspiring stories in her 10-year journey about how she just handles life, even because she doesn't know if it will come back. Right?
And you just almost never hear a story where a person faced something tough, faced their fears, and it went poorly for them and it was a bad idea. You don't really hear people saying, "Yeah, I faced my fears," and they might not win. Things might not go the way they wanted, but you gain something from facing it. I was just thinking about this just now. There's a movie I love called Sleepers. In it, this kid does something bad with his friends, illegal, and it turns into a bad thing, and he's got to go to jail for it. He's talking to a priest who's this guy, and he says, "I could run, Father, and just go away. No one will remember. Everyone will forget what we did eventually." And he says, "If you run now, you're going to run for the rest of your life. You have to face it. You need to be a man and face it." And he says, "I can't." And he says, "You have to." And he does. And then
that is a great scene.
Yeah.
I can't. The bottom line is, actually, you might not want to.
You don't have a choice.
But you can't.
You really don't have a choice. You can run, but like he said, you'd be running forever.
Well, think about, you're bringing...
And not necessarily physically, literally running like this kid would be in that situation.
No, running from the fear.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing about fear, Sean, that I figured out. Fear will track you down. It will hunt you down. It is not going anywhere. It is not like, if you just ignore it, it's kind of like, terrorism. Oh, if we just be nice or forget about them, they'll just be nice too. It doesn't work like that with bullies. And so that brings me to really where fear comes from. And so, some of you might have completely different spiritual beliefs than Sean and I, and that's totally fine. You can still use the concept, I think, and plug it into whatever makes sense to you. But I firmly believe that Satan is the big beast, like he's the beast of all beasts. And I always call him the beast, big beast, because I don't like to give him credit by using his name. Kind of like the guy that killed Jamie. People will notice his name is never in this book. His name has never been mentioned publicly ever, because I will not give him credit. And so that's kind of the same thing, way I feel about him. But then what happens?
Only they knew that what I call him SBFF. Like, they knew what that stands for.
SBFF. You're his BFF?
No. Think about it. Descriptors. The first one being short, you could probably figure it out.
Yes, I know exactly what you mean. But anyway, but what happens is the big beast, he has all these other little beasts, are individual beasts assigned to us. What are they? They're insecurity. Fear, obviously, is a big one. They're insecure. There's shame. There's guilt. Low self-worth. It could be a situation that has happened to you, a way of thinking, whatever it is. We all have them, Sean.
Yeah.
Everyone, I don't care who they are, how they're acting, everyone's got something that is coming at them that they have to deal with. It's in their head, in their heart.
For sure.
Right? Every single person. So I feel like, this is what I said in here too. I just happened to pass by this line here. So I say that the beast's alias is fear.
Yeah.
And so so remember how we talked about when Rich is not a big guy. This is Sean's stepdad, my husband, and he punched a bully when he was a kid, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which I wonder if that really happened. I can't even picture Rich doing that. Maybe he wished he did.
It was the kid at the drinking fountain.
Yeah.
There was a bunch of kids waiting in line in the summer to drink out of the drinking fountain. The kid walked to the front and said, basically, get the hell out of the way. I'm going first. And Rich said, you can't do that. The guy said, yes, I can. And Rich said, I'll choose you out.
I know that's what they used to say.
Like the oldest expression.
Choose you out.
It's probably 19.
What did they say now? What would they say
69
now?
69 or 70.
Want to go? I don't know. What would you say?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the kids now would say. We were
so
kids.
Funny.
When we were kids, it would be for something to the effect of, I'll beat the ass out of you. Like, a little more direct.
So he choose him out, which meant you go later, meet somewhere.
That means I'm calling you out for a fight. I don't know exactly.
And then
I don't remember if they did it right then and there or later. But
I do know that Rich said he punched him. And honestly, this is the way you have to think about your beast, whatever crap was going on inside of you. I mean, I mean, me, I mean, everyone. You have to punch him. The beast is going to keep knocking on your door, beating your door down, tracking you down, keeping you from living your dreams, keeping you in fear, unless you say no more. It's really up to us to just go, no, I'm over it. I'm done. Ain't happening.
You have to take corrective action in some regard to those kinds of things. When you have a continual challenge, if you just allow it to take roots and carry on and you don't make any corrective actions towards fixing it, it's certainly not going to go away. It's absolutely going to get worse. So,
yep, that's absolutely true. So here's what I love at the end of that section. I said, you're stronger than you think, braver than you believe, and more powerful than what scares you. And the best part of all, you have someone watching your six. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what people have to remember too. Like, the big beast is scary. This is no joke. Okay? Yeah. This whole spiritual battle that we're having, is not. In fact, okay, this is a perfect example I put in the book. And I'm sure you loved it when you read that I used a Harry Potter analogy, because I remember even when you were in high school when some of the books came out, and you guys.
When they first came out, Grandma Emily, Rich's mom, gave me.
You were 10.
1 and 2 when I was 10 or 11 years old.
But then I remember later on, the later books came out a few years later. You were already in high school, I think.
I think the final book came out like my junior or senior.
Okay, and you guys literally, like the football team was at the bookstore overnight. Remember you said, do you mind if I stay in front of the bookstore overnight?
Yep, the Barnes & Noble in Issaquah. It was me and Nick and Ian and a bunch of guys.
Yeah, I thought that was so cool that you guys loved those books so much. But I use that analogy because when they were made into movies, and I watch them, flying around. And basically what's going on is that the rest of the Muggle world or whatever, everybody's sleeping. Unbeknownst to them, there's this spiritual battle going on that they can't see. Yeah. Only Harry and his friends, when they reach some sort of wizard level, right? All of a sudden they can see Voldemort and this battle between good and evil is raging on. And what I love when I think about that, Sean, I think about if we could see the spiritual world, it would look similar to that. Only there wouldn't be like broomsticks and, kids in capes and
Mm-hmm.
Harry Potter glasses and all that. But I feel like that, I mean, we have to remember that is going on. No matter what you do about it, there's a spiritual battle going on. And so that's friggin' scary to think about, but not if you have someone even better than Harry Potter and his friends.
But well, it doesn't have to not be scary. It still can be scary. That's the whole point of what we're talking about.
Yeah, you're right.
Is that it can still be scary, but it doesn't mean that you have to let it win or envelop you.
Right. And in fact, when you look at it from that spiritual perspective too, because I just read the Bible recently again, it would be shock you if you were to go through, or you can look it up, actually, anyone can look it up, the number of times that God calls people to be courageous.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to say this, and please do not quote me on this because I could be completely wrong. If it's not the most, it is one of the most talked about things in the Bible. And I don't know if people that didn't know about it would think that, right? You might think that he talks about having faith, and which he does, of course, having faith and being a good person. And I don't know what I hear and read and see over and over and over is be strong and courageous.
Yeah.
Do not be afraid. And, then he backs it up with the Lord your God is with you wherever you go. The point is, we have divine backup. We're not on our own with this fear thing and this scary. But you have to make a decision, right? You have to decide that, like I said, fear has taken enough. Dreams, confidence, lives. It doesn't get to take what's left of you. And I think that's the whole point and then that's why this chapter leads into the next one, which we're going to talk about next week, called The Big Fat Lie. And we're going to talk about the myth about courage.
Yeah.
Because do you know people, or have you known? I know people I could name who almost wear fear like a badge of honor.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Part of the victim mentality for sure.
Or no, I'm scared of this, I'm scared of that. Okay. I know she's never going to watch it. So I could probably mention someone very close to us. My mother was like that. She was afraid of everything. Sleep still with the light on.
Mm-hmm.
Even in her memory care unit where it's 20 rooms and all these workers are there and it's a great place and she loves it and she feels safe. She's really spent her whole life being afraid of so many things. And throughout my life, I've watched that and thought, my mom has a lot of great qualities in so many ways. I'm glad I am like her, but not that.
Well, it's kind of like the perfect example of that with her was when we were leaving the trial. And she calls us not to ask how did the pretrial hearing for her murdered granddaughter go. Instead, it was to tell you about all the things she was afraid of in her neighborhood. There were some workers working on trees, so apparently they were there to break into her house and steal the money she doesn't have. And there was coyotes trying to get in the back doggy door that Uncle Daryl had bolted shut months prior, and there was javelinas on the front porch that were kicking down the front door.
I know.
We're going to steal her shekels out of her pockets, and
we literally just left.
It was just all these things, and she worked herself up into a frenzy instead of addressing what she was actually. She was deep down inside. She was calling to talk about the trial, but was too afraid to do it, and instead created this fear-based monologue in her own head, and started rattling off all these. Oh, this is what I'm dealing with today, and all these made up all these false fears in her head.
And I was also 4 hours drive away.
Yeah, well,
there wasn't a whole lot I could do about it.
If there really is, if Wile E. Coyote really did get together with Porky Pig and the local thieves and was breaking into the house, call the police.
And by the way, she lived in a really nice, safe area too. So I know, but so that is I'm glad you brought that up, Sean, because it really shows what happens if you don't address it, like we've been saying all along. Because at the end, you could literally be 80 years old, and this is what's controlling your mindset. This is the kind of stuff that you see a coyote. And by the way,
she allowed fear to win her whole life.
Totally. Coyotes walk down my street. I mean, sometimes they just walk down the sidewalk. I mean, they're everywhere in my neighborhood where I live. So I'm used to them. But for her to take like one, I'm sure it was probably not walking down her street. She was probably driving inside. So she took, and by the way, they don't want anything to do with you. But she sees this one coyote and turns it into now.
There's a pack of them and they're in the backyard trying to get in the doggy door.
Right. So imagine if we don't address it. It, like you mentioned earlier, that it doesn't go away, but what's worse is it builds up. Don't you think it actually starts to compound?
Mm-hmm.
Now you start being afraid of like her, every little thing.
Yeah.
So I think really that's the best message. This is a really short chapter of Burn the Map, and I hope you'll get this book because it is chocked full of stuff that I think everyone can relate to, no matter what stories are told. And there's a lot of great little snippets too of other people's stories that really make the point. And next week, when we talk about the big fat lie, I was really hoping I would have some clips of Johnny, and I'm not sure if I'm going to or not, if it's going to be able to fit into his schedule and get that in there. But he's one of the examples of courage, but not in the way that people think.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so thank you guys for listening or watching, and I hope you're subscribed to the YouTube channel if you're listening on your podcast app. Download and share, and I hope you'll join us again next week and all the weeks following as we continue to talk about these really cool concepts in Burn the Map.
Yeah, and if you're on YouTube, likes and comments are also helpful too.
Actually, you know what? Not just helpful. I kind of like talking with people.
Yeah.
Honestly, Sean, I have this pretty good-sized following on Facebook, and this isn't to diss Facebook or anything, but I kind of almost would rather chat in YouTube.
You'd rather have people on YouTube.
Yeah. I think we can have better conversations because a lot of what you post on other type, on social media is just kind of these little snippet things. But
YouTube is solely designed for viewership.
Right. So there's this whole collection of videos and topics and everything, and I'd love for people to talk with us more about it. So thanks for bringing that up. Yeah. Okay, see you guys next week.